Life is a series of crossroads, and you personalize your journey by making a series of choices. Whether it's a big decision about career, relationship, or even the smaller daily choices, we have all been there. Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I am Zijing, and today we will have a very exciting video about making choices. So recently, I have published an article on Medium to share the exciting news that I have been promoted. It's definitely a milestone for my career, and in the article I have shared some learnings that I have along the way and how much I've grown from a junior who is new to the industry to someone that's leading multiple key deliverables for the team. I'm very excited to share that with you all. And in the same time, the promotion also brought me back to a pivotal moment 2 years ago when I was facing the choices of two companies when I decided to switch jobs. The decision has made me who I am right now, and it also inspired me to make a video about making choices, especially the tough ones. So in this video, you will hear me talking about some of the major choices that I have made in my life and how I approach to make those decisions and how that has shaped and turning me into who I am right now. Furthermore, I will summarize some strategies based on my past experience, and hopefully it will be helpful for you to make choices in the future. If you ever feel stuck in a crossroad, wondering which path to take, this video is for you. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first point I want to make here is that the important part about making choices is not which choice you end up making, it's what to do with it. When I was choosing between two companies when I switched jobs 2 years ago, it was very hard to make a decision. And hard choices is hard because there's no best option. Everyone can make an easy choice. If you're allergic to peanut, then you will avoid peanut butter. If you prefer tacos over burgers, then you will choose Mexican cuisine for dinner. Everyone can make an easy choice smoothly. And whenever you feel hesitate in making choices, this is because there's no perfect choice for you. Each choice that you're facing has some pros and cons. You are gaining something or losing something at the same time, whichever decision that you end up making. For me, I made a decision to work at my current company after I had a follow-up meeting with my current manager where we discussed our visions and our plans, and I think I will have a very good time working there. I will feel challenged and will feel fulfilled at the same time. Is that the right decision? I think that's the question that I can never answer, because it's very hard to answer a causal question since you can never observe the counterfactuals. You can only estimate the treatment effect. I would never know what my life would be like if I had choose the other company. Even though at this stage, I know that the other company had massive layoffs, and in my company, I do feel fulfilled and challenged at my daily tasks. My team is doing well, and I recently got promoted, and we are getting visibilities at the C-level. Even observing those results at this stage, I can never know I wouldn't have the same growth in the other company if I were to work there. So what's the point here? I think the point is to never look backwards. If you're always thinking about what I have missed because I didn't make the other choice, I didn't take the other path, then you are missing out what you could have gained from this choice. Ever since I joined this team, I have tons of growth. Will I have the same growth in the other company? I'm sure more or less, but that's not what I care about. I don't look back and regret and thinking about what I might have missed. I just make my choice and move on. The second point I want to make here is that whenever you're facing a hard choice, toss a coin. You may think, what a bizarre advice you're giving here, but hear me out. When I was 18, I'm facing the first hard choices in my life, which is choosing which university to go to. There is one in Beijing and there is one in Shanghai. Both universities are around the same ranking. I can choose any major, so the actual difference will be which city should I go to. I had several days thinking about which university should I go to. One day I decided to take a walk to the river nearby my home and clear my head. I also brought a coin, so I think maybe I can just toss a coin and let the fate decide. And when I was sitting by the river, I took out the coin and say if the head showed up, then I will go to Beijing, and if the tail shows up, I will go to Shanghai. I tossed the coin, but before it landed, I caught myself thinking that I really hope the head lands on the ground. So that's when I realized I want to go to Beijing, and that's the choice that I made. The thing about tossing a coin is that it will help you realize what you actually want from your heart, not from others' expectations or what choice that you should make. It's actually what you want in your heart, and it's kind of like an instinct that reflects who you are and what you value the most. So I chose Beijing, and I had a lot of fun there, made a lot of friends, and got a chance to study in UC Davis as an exchange student. And that actually made me realize I want to go to graduate school in the US and really change my path from there. The third point I want to make here is whatever choice that you end up making, be grateful rather than being greedy. When I graduate from my PhD program, I'm facing the choices of either go back to China and work there and stay close to my family, or I stay in the US and pursue a career here. Before I graduate, I always think that I will go back to China, so I took several summers to get to know how the work life are like in China, what kind of job that I can get. I talked to several professors in the university to know what kind of lifestyle they have, and then the compensations, etc. But then I realized I don't really want to work in China, even though it's close to my family. I don't really like the work environment. So that's when I decided to stay in the US, and with my education in economics and my experience in data, it seems natural for me to work in the US in the tech company as a data scientist. And now I have been working here for almost 3 years. I had a lot of growth here. I see myself transitioning from a student to a full-time employee. I feel very grateful for the choice that I make. But in the same time, I do miss my family, especially during COVID. I haven't seen them in 3 years. And I do feel very jealousy for some of my friends who are living in China and have all those convenience and accessibility from living close to their family or just living in China. But I always tell myself I already made a decision to work here in the US, and I can't have everything. Even though I miss my parents, I miss my family a lot, there are ways that I can help with it by calling them more often, or when I have the chance, I will go visit them or invite them to come over to have more family time. But I know that I can have both. The last point I want to make here is that we have to admit having choices is a privilege. Let me give you an example. When I was applying for PhD programs in the US, I only got one offer. For the other programs, they either rejected me or waitlisted me. So it was an easy choice for me, but I will always wonder where I would go if I have more than one offer. So hard choices are actually not a curse. It's a self-discovery process, because through making decisions, you get to define who you are and what you value the most. So now I have shared 4 points based on my experience. Let's get into some practical strategies. Hopefully that will help you make hard choices in the future. The first strategy I follow is to focus on the long-term benefit. Besides thinking about how the choices you make will align with your overall goals and values, think about how they can benefit you in the long run. If I'm facing 2 choices, one gives me a short-term gain but long-term loss, versus another one gives me a short-term loss with a long-term gain, I will always choose the latter one, which gives me a long-term benefit, because life is a marathon, not a sprint. The second strategy is to view mistakes as learning opportunities. Just like making right choices doesn't guarantee you a life full of success, making the wrong choice may not be the end of the world either. A lot of times we can learn from others' experience or getting help from others' support to help us achieve something faster. But some roadblocks or setbacks are just unavoidable. But in the same time, when you fail, even though it hurts, it gives you the unique life experience that will help you discover who you are and make you grow exponentially. So when I was looking for my first job, I was unemployed for a couple of months and getting a lot of rejections every day. It made me doubt my choice of giving up job offers in China and trying to stay in the US and away from my family. But in the meantime, I start my writing blog. If you watch my last video, you will see how writing at Medium has bring me a much more fruitful outcome to me. That is why every choice, even the ones didn't turn out as expected, will give you unexpected value. That is why whenever I make choices, I tend to make the high risk, high return ones versus the low risk, low return ones. I don't actually want to give this strategy to everyone because I know not everyone has the same preference and risk tolerance. But if you think you can take the hit from the wrong choice, go ahead with it, because you will never know what it will bring you. Something that may be out of your imagination and will change your life in a positive way. The third strategy is to focus on the present and the future. The past is behind us. What's done is done, even though we can learn from it, but we shouldn't let it hold us back. So focus on what you can do now and what you can do in the future. What's your action point that can make the most out of your choice? What choices you can make now to build the future that you desire? The last strategy I want to mention is to follow your heart. You only live once, and the choices that you made following your heart will give you the most rewarding and unforgettable experience in your life. I know this is hard because I have been there. I have been making my decisions based on others' expectations. I want to be someone that I admire, or I want to be different from someone I don't like. That's totally understandable. But then I realized that the choices that I end up making doesn't really make me happy and doesn't really want to make me be responsible for them. That's when I realized I should train myself to actually making decisions based on what I want and who I want to become. It is a whole process, and it doesn't just take one day. It takes a whole series of decision making and days or years of constantly asking yourself the hard question: what do you want? Who do you want to become? And what do you value the most? Even though those questions are hard to answer, it's the question that you cannot avoid to have a life that actually builds upon your expectations and your own preference. That's all the strategies that I want to share for today. But before we end, I just want to mention one point, which is you are defined by the choices that you make. It's a self-discovery process. Sometimes when I make decisions, I am objectively observing myself to see which path I end up taking, to see what kind of person that I am, and summarize what are the values that I pursue in my life. Just as the saying goes, life is a box of chocolate and you never know what you're gonna get out of it. But whatever you end up getting, own up to your choice and embrace it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.